My name is Danielle Dries and I'm a proud Ghana woman from South Australia. As Mick said, I'm a qualified physiotherapist and a final year medical student at the Australian National University, and I'm representing over 300 Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander medical students across the country. Closing the gap is important to me because it's more than just the statistics and figures. It involves all of us, all Australians, and it's about working in partnership. I believe the gap will close when there is a collective understanding of the diversity of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people and acknowledging that colonisation has impacted individuals and families across Australia in many different ways. I look forward to a time when there is equality and we can celebrate and be proud of having such an incredible culture which is more than 60,000 years old. I would now like to welcome the Leader of the Australian Greens, Dr. Richard D. Natale, to the stage, and I thank him for giving his time to join us for the 10-year anniversary of Close the Gap. Thank you.
I think we should give those three inspiring young health professionals a huge round of applause. Right there is the future. Let me acknowledge Matilda, Tom, Jackie, Mick for all of their incredible work to do what we all know needs to be done in Australia, and that's to close the gap. Also acknowledge the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition today. I've got a speech here that was prepared by my staff, and it talks a little bit about the huge challenges we have, the low literacy rates, high incarceration rates, the huge gap in life expectancy that exists between Aboriginal and non-Indigenous Australians. But I don't want to talk about that today. Instead, I want to tell you a little bit about my own journey into this area and some of the things that I've learned. So in 1999, I decided that I'd spend a couple of years working in an Aboriginal health service in the Northern Territory. I'd spent some years some time in Carnarvon, in the Tiwi Islands, in Elcho Island, and decided I wanted to make a contribution. I was full of lots of ideas. I knew how to fix the issues. I knew that it needed more money. I knew that we needed to tailor specific programs around hearing. I knew how to address issues of perinatal mortality. I knew all of that. I was 29, young graduate, and the singular lesson that I took away from that experience is that unless solutions are owned, driven and controlled by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people, they'll never be successful. That heavy-handed interventions, and I use that word advisedly, coming in over the top, will never be successful unless those solutions are owned and driven by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. The example that sticks in my mind is the issue of alcohol restrictions in Tennant Creek. Now, the Indigenous community, the Aboriginal community in Tennant Creek, led the charge to introduce restrictions in that town to deal with the problem of alcohol-fuelled violence, and those changes were successful. But they won't be successful in other parts of the country when those heavy-handed interventions come in over the top without the ownership and control of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. The Prime Minister said there is no one-size-fits-all, but the key thing is that those interventions must be driven by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. The issue of how far we've come is something that we should both be proud of, but also recognise that there is so much more that needs to be done. And all the statistics in the world don't do justice to the real implications of what some of the hardships that many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people have to endure. When you are in an Aboriginal health service and a 10-year-old boy comes in because he's failing to thrive and his kidneys have failed and he needs dialysis and there's no dialysis service, and you need to introduce peritoneal dialysis, 4 litres of fluid every day through that young kid's abdomen, and expect that child to be able to take advantage of the opportunities that lie ahead of them, you know that there is work to do. When you come out of medical school, learning about diseases like trachoma, like rheumatic heart disease, and being told that these are conditions that exist in developing countries, and here you are in a wealthy country like Australia, and those conditions are prevalent, you know that so much more work needs to be done. When a proud Aboriginal man like Adam Good stands up and celebrates his culture, and the response from many Australians is to ridicule, to boo, to taunt, you know that there's so much work that needs to be done. We've got an opportunity to do some of that work through constitutional recognition, and all of us are committed to that task. But let's not stop there. My colleague Senator Rachel Siewert talked about a treaty. Let's be ambitious. Let's recognise that there are opportunities for us as a nation, not just to take small steps, but to take giant strides in reconciling the wrongs of the past. So today's an opportunity to reflect on the progress that we've made, but also to acknowledge the huge challenges that lie ahead. And you have a commitment from me and our party as Leader of the Greens to work with both the government, the opposition, to ensure that we do what we can to close the gap. Thank you.